Good morning, all, and welcome to the Austratech Crash Course in Information Systems Project Management. It's good to have you on. This morning, I'll be taking us through this process, talking to you around information systems project management, helping you appreciate what this is all about today. So just a brief introduction to myself. My name is Ade Awotedu. You can see some of the qualifications there. They're all there, but I'm an independent freelance. I'm the lead trainer at Austratech, and I'm an IT program and project management consultant in the UK. I've been in this sector now in this career area over 2 decades, pretty much working across various sectors, but specifically, as it relates to program and project management, we're talking solid 15 plus years, really handling programs, handling projects. Prior to that, I was in mid-level roles and supporting aspects, but it's a lot of industry and sector experience to sort of shape what you now see as a product, as a service that has helped many people. My sector experience will include private and public sectors, delivering various systems, various business-driven technologies, and I'm quite passionate around program and project management. So you see there that I've got a range of qualifications, including items that are not directly project management, like TOGA, for example, at level 1 and 2 is the open group architectural framework. And it's just as you start to deliver IT systems and technologies, you start to find out that it's good to expand your knowledge base and be more robust in your understanding of concept, particularly tech concepts. So the architectural framework, the open group architectural framework certification became important then. I took it many years ago. And it's really helped my career. It's shaped my understanding of IT delivery and project management as well. So it's all of those years of experience that I want to sort of translate to yourself, cascade to you, and make really beneficial for you to appreciate what we're talking about today. So from the content standpoint, I'm going to break it down this way. So we're going to have a part A, which is basically looking at all of these crash course and what information systems delivery is about, project management is about. And from that standpoint, I'm going to be covering what information systems are, help you understand what project management is from that standpoint, help you understand what project delivery is from that standpoint. We're going to focus on the project lifecycle, the SDLC, which is the process for delivering IT systems, processes, and products. And then we'll look at methodologies, frameworks, including, we will not touch on the Prince2, but I'll just sort of give you a snapshot into it as a methodology as part of the whole process. I'll mention it a number of times as the methodology that we use in the UK. And then we'll look at project management skills and tools that will be relevant for you to sort of shape your career and actually be more effective in project management. The part B then focuses on how you can start a career in project management, the earning potential, how to start a career, and where Austratech comes in, how we can sort of support you in shaping this objective that you've got for a career start in tech. A lot of you have done very good with defining what a project is, and your definitions were not, I could even fault them. They were remarkable. It shows me there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of appetite to picking up project management information, and that is remarkable. So, but because we said this is information systems project management, I want to just sort of help us appreciate what information systems are. So basically, when we talk about information systems, we're saying they are integrated systems for collecting data, storing data, processing data. They'll provide information and knowledge around digital products. So all of those information they gather will be to sort of provide information and knowledge around a range of digital products and services for organizations to make decisions. So they will combine a range of hardware, software, data, procedures, and processes and people to support decision-making for organizations, including aspects around coordination, control, analysis, and visualization for an organization or organizations, if you look at it from a broader perspective. So when we look at information systems, there are a range of examples, but I'll just sort of look at some broad layers to include a management information system. Your SAP is a management information system. Your ERP, SAP, that's enterprise resource planning systems, examples of management information systems. They cater for an organization's objectives from an enterprise viewpoint and will support different aspects, include finance, procurement, HR, different aspects there. And there will be transaction processing systems. There will be like your POS, point of sale system. A lot of us are familiar with POSs used in retail for transacting, and you have your customer relationship management system. So your CRMs basically for customer management for organization, making sure you can manage customer information better, interact with them better, engage them a lot better. That's what your CRMs are for. And then you have your supply chain management systems. These are all broad headers. There are a range of other categories, but I just sort of unpicked some for us to sort of appreciate what we're talking about. So we're talking about supply chain management systems, and it's basically used for managing the flow of goods. Their SCM systems are used for managing the flow of goods. And the final one I'll just probably call out is decision support systems. Though these are your data analytics systems and the toolings associated with them, your Tableaus, your Microsoft Power BI, your somebody help me if you know, your Python, your ClickView. They're just, the list is endless if we have to start to talk about examples of all these systems. But you see, the thing is that to sort of provision these systems for organizations don't just stand them up. They don't just implement them. They don't just provision them. They have methods, they have processes they have to follow. There's a lot of governance associated with provisioning systems and services within IT environment. So your information system is also called information technology systems, if you sort of see what I mean. So within that technology environment or technical environment, standing them up has a lot of governance. There's going to be a lot of project-driven approaches for standing up information systems. And that is what we're going to be focusing on today. So the context for this discussion today is just basically information system, which I'll call IS for short. Okay. Understanding IS project management then means we want to very quickly define it. A lot of you have done a good job around definition. So I'm just going to keep this really short. So a project, therefore, is a temporary organization. In other words, it's time-bound. It has a defined start, a defined finish. And it will create or deliver one or more business products or services. And these products or services can be tangible or intangible, as the case may be. It could be anything from the prototype of a car, for example. It could be a new house, just to say. But as related to information systems, we're basically saying it's an upgrade to an existing technology, or it is the introduction of a totally new technology. Whatever you do with the delivery of systems or products or services, you want to ensure it is according to agreed business cases. So that your business case is your justification or rationale for delivering this project. I hope it's making sense. The next thing I want to sort of address very quickly is why organizations embark on projects. Organizations will embark on projects for many reasons, to include regulatory or statutory. There will be a lot of compliance requirements that organizations need to fulfill. We've had the GDPR, for example, relating to data protection. We have the Know Your Customer in the UK, for example. So there are going to be a range of regulatory requirements. In the health sector, there's going to be the need to automate the management of patient data and information. And because of that, we have a lot of electronic patient recording systems, EPR systems, that are now being rolled out by a lot of NHS organization or health sector-oriented organizations, because there's a demand for them to ensure resilience in the way they manage patient information and be more robust in the way they manage and more secure. So a total shift from manual processes is what that is communicating. So a lot of times the systems, the processes, the infrastructure to sort of provision this compliance requirement will not be readily available to organizations. Guess what they then do? They stand up projects to deliver those systems. Working with a range of SMEs, which will be your subject matter experts and professionals, technical practitioners who have understanding of those compliance requirements as related to maybe a regulatory requirement, for example. Guess what? If you fail to comply to a regulation, is sanctions, is reputational damage. No organization wants that. So your business case will be written around things like that. Okay, so you want to introduce change, you want to address business needs. I think some of those we've already addressed at the definition of project. You want to sort of expand your business, you want to merge with an organization, you want to increase your branch network. You want to acquire another organization. So it's things like that, isn't it? And then you also want to respond to your competition. When you look at this, the example that I always call to mind is the mobile network providers and mobile device providers. You can think about your mobile phones, Apple, Samsung, you can see the competition that exists there. Apple launches something, Samsung responds, and it's just that bi-directional competition, and it's healthy across that sector. So market demand can drive how we respond. Whatever we say we're doing, organizations embark on projects to survive. They want to stay in business, they want to generate profit, they want to generate revenue, they want to attract new customers, they want to retain their existing customers. So if you sort of look at it that way, the main objective is always to survive, stay in business. Now, this is where I will address some of those characteristics. I think it was Tabo from South Africa who was talking about uncertainty as a main characteristics for projects. So I'm going to address that just now. So we're going to look at the concept of project versus BAU, okay? Whatever information system or service you deliver will operate within an operation environment. We operate within a business as usual environment or business as normal environment. But there's a difference between your operations and your business as usual or business as normal. So some characteristics of a project would include introduces change. It is temporary. We've talked about that. It has a defined start, a defined finish. It doesn't run infinitely. You do not have unlimited resources. Your resources are so limited within that temporary arrangement. Okay. So your cost, your time, and people resources. It's unique. Okay. It will always deliver a unique product or service. It's a CRM. Okay. It's a POS system. Okay. It's an ERP system, that kind of thing. So we're talking within the context of information systems. Okay. That's because organization, today the world has become so digital, we have become so tech, and it's all about provisioning more and more tools, more and more systems to make life more efficient for us. And that's really remarkable. Okay. So it's projects are cross-functional. In other words, it will leverage a range of skills of people, different skill sets within the environment. Okay. You have your architects, you have your project manager, you have your subject matter experts, you have testers, you have business analysts, a range of skills, you have product owners, you have business subject matter experts as you start to deliver business-led projects. To provision systems that support what they do. HR systems would need HR experts who understand HR processes, etc., etc. Okay, and there's uncertainty. Uncertainty is just a view of, it just complicates risk. There's a lot of uncertainty associated with projects. So because of that, you want to manage that. You want to manage ambiguity. You want to plan effectively. You want to coordinate better. You want to motivate your people. You want to delegate effectively. And it's all of that we're talking about. Okay, so differentiating projects then as a temporary, unique environment, as an environment that introduces change against operations of BAU, or your operations of BAU really literally caters for your routine, repetitive, standard, ongoing activities that makes an organization functional. Okay, allows them to operate continually, and that's what operations will be about. It's just same ongoing service every time, same products being delivered. So if there was an IT system delivered by a project, your BAU teams will manage, maintain, and operate them. For example, everything delivered by project at some point is handed over to BAU. In fact, it's a key line of activity within your project plan to sort of, when you're delivering information systems, to hand them over to business as usual teams or operational teams. Okay, there's a process that supports that. And all of that is what you get from training, from mentoring, from coaching, from people like myself and the Austratech team. We are solid. We all have been in this area for quite a long time. Same objective with operations. Accounting is accounting every day. Marketing is marketing. Your service desk would run service desk activities every day. Same objectives, just to ensure they keep their customers happy, address their complaint, manage incidents if it's service desk, for example, and resolve them. Okay, and it's the same thing within your operational environment. If you have any question, drop it in chat. At some point, I'll pick it. So let's talk about project interest then. So you will not deliver projects without understanding the interest associated with your project. So by the interest, we're talking about firstly the business. The business will commission the project. They will determine that this project is necessary and required for the organization. So that business layer sort of represents your corporate management type. And the owners of an organization. That's what we're talking about there. So they'll be impacted directly or indirectly by what you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a range of stakeholders there, okay? And then you have your users. These are the people that will use the system. They'll benefit from the output of the system. They will benefit from a range of outcomes that will improve how the work and operate. They'll also maintain the system, okay? And then we have your suppliers. So your suppliers have the expertise for delivering the systems and projects. They have the expertise. That's what they do. Their main job and duty is to ensure expertise, technical expertise for delivering all of those systems as required. The relationship is the project. So all these three, as stakeholders, operate within the project ecosystem. And the key thing you want to ensure when you're delivering projects is to make sure projects combine a unique set of people across it. That main dynamic of these people working together across the business, users, and suppliers. So these three projects will combine them. Now, they make up the community of project for that project delivery for a short period of time, okay? And what you want to do is keep them motivated. You want to foster collaborations. This is really essential if you must deliver or achieve project success. Now, what you will also want to ensure is that as it relates to your project, you are conscious of the organizational ecosystem as well as the project ecosystem. The organization has a staff, it has its board members, it has its internal and external stakeholders that will be impacted by what you're doing, but you want to balance that with the consciousness of the community of the project around the business users and suppliers, and make sure you engage quality relationship across those. There'll be those that will champion what you want to do. There'll be those that will be blockers in the form of stakeholders. What you want to just do is make sure you keep them involved as may be required across whatever side they belong and levels of involvement that may be required. Keep them influenced, keep them informed. They will have different levels of interest, is to manage that and balance them as part of the process. I hope it's making sense. This, I'm just going to skim through very quickly. The key thing I'm trying to say is that every project has an organization structure. There must be a mechanism for governing projects. There must be a mechanism for governing projects, ensuring effective coordination, ensuring effective control, ensuring project success, the decision-making framework. And different layers within your organization structure will have different levels of responsibility. Okay, so that, for example, your corporate or program management will be the layer that sort of represents the business. They are there as the business. So they commission the project and they'll determine the tolerances assigned to what we call the project board. The project board is going to be led by someone called an executive. That executive is appointed by the corporate management of the business. He or she stands in to represent the business interest. Okay, and they'll be accountable on behalf of the business for the project. Okay, so everything, and that executive will do something, appoint members to sort of sit on that project board to govern the project, including appointing a project manager. But the overall support that authorizes, the overall authorization for whatever that executive does is led by the corporate management or program management, where you have multiple projects interrelating and being delivered as part of a program. Right. So the key thing to sort of say here is no two projects are the same. Sometimes you have a project board. Sometimes all you have is that executive standing in to provide what we call the directing function to sort of make sure the project is effectively governed. They will resolve escalations around risk and issues. They will sort of also make sure stages are being progressed as required and the requirements of the business are being satisfied, and they will authorize the start and finish of stages and also sign off on milestones that are being completed. They want to ensure there's a plan. The accountability for ensuring there's a plan sits with this person called the executives chairing a project board, okay? So I'm basically saying there are sometimes, depending on the size of the project, the scale of it, it can be a small or simple project or a large or complex project. Sometimes you may not really require a project board. All you have is an executive or sponsor sitting on that board, sitting in to sort of provide the directing function, if you sort of get what I mean. So we have the project manager responsible for day-to-day management of the project, and then the team managers, they will be the ones delivering the project, and they will have their members. So your ABC there represent various team members catering for different work streams, work areas, work aspects within the project to sort of deliver that project objective as you have, okay? And all of these people here make up your project team, okay? And the key thing you want to do is keep them motivated, foster collaboration, make sure information is available, etc., etc., etc. If you have questions, drop it in chat. Now, we've got to a place where I need to talk about what we call the project lifecycle. You see, this one, I was keen through it as well, but there is a video on YouTube. Go find it on the Austratech channel. Please subscribe when you do. Someone is going to be posting the link to our YouTube channel to you just now. Please subscribe on YouTube. But this video is there, is the project lifecycle video. It's just 8 minutes. Go watch it. It's fantastic, honestly. Because there are some things I sort of catered for there that may not be catered for here, just because we have a limited time. But the key thing to sort of say is that the project lifecycle, right, is the period from the start of the project to the acceptance of the project's product. You see, that system, that product, that service that you're delivering is the period from the start of the project when you initiate or set up your project to the completion of your project, where you sign it off and say, there's a product now accepted against some sort of acceptance criteria. Users have acceptance tested and they're happy. They give you the thumbs up to say, yeah, we accept this product. Okay, so that's your project life cycle, and it will be made up of a range of steps and stages to include these 5. I borrowed that from PMI, Project Management Institute. So they have a certification called Project Management Professional. So I just sort of nicked it there. Yeah, it's standardized. So if you went to an interview and you talked about these 5 stages, you pass. But the key thing to understand is that you have your startup, you have your planning, implementation or execution, monitoring and control sort of sits in there after implementation and execution. But really, it's not really a stage after. It's just something you do across your project anyway to ensure you mitigate issues, address any problems or concern, manage change, control your project to ensure it's delivering to time, cost, and quality. So there's a control function there as part of the governance process to sort of ensure you enable project success by carrying out effectively the monitoring and control function. And then you close out your project as part of the last stage. So in the first one, you want to ensure, usually you'd have written a business case at the start of the project, something of an outline one, which you can refine against planning when you get to planning, including running a feasibility stage as part of it. Please go watch that video because there's a lot to sort of say around this one. But for time, I cannot cover everything. But the key thing, as a minimum, exit this startup or initiation with a project initiation document delivered. Okay, your objectives must be clear. You must be clear around your scope, your deliverables that must be delivered. Really, really important. You want to ensure as part of this, you have a kickoff meeting with your team. Keep everyone focused. You know, when we talked about the project ecosystem, know the range of stakeholders or people that have interest. You want to foster motivation, foster collaboration. Make sure everyone is aligned on the same page around what you're meant to be delivering. And the next one is your planning stage, which is basically around delivering a plan to sort of facilitate the delivery of your project. That's scope, that the set of deliverables and component aspects that will make up your final project product. You want to sort of make sure you satisfy them. A delivery plan enables that. We use work breakdown structures to sort of schedule that delivery and how the components will land. We want to select our team. We want to ensure we identify the resources that are required that we may first have outlined in our project initiation document. Anything you don't understand here, you can Google. Remember, this is a crash course. There's a lot of detail past the crash course, okay? And then you have your cost estimates. We use a cost breakdown structure for that, and you have your resource breakdown structure as well. And then you want to anticipate risk as part of planning, okay? And then your implementation is basically executing that plan. That's what you want to do. Execute that plan. okay? To sort of ensure the outputs and deliverables and range of outcomes that you set out to deliver are all delivered. So monitoring and control, as I explained earlier, is just about monitoring, controlling to mitigate risk and address issues. You want to nip them in the bud early. You want to capture them early. You want to ensure no surprises. So you want to be proactive around the monitoring and control function. Usually, organizations will have processes and methods for enabling aspects around risk management, around issue management, around change management, change control, etc., etc. Yours would be as a project management professional to comply. Okay. And the closing area and stage would be to basically say, project completed. We've come to the end of it. Users have accepted the product or service or system. We are learning lessons. We can celebrate success. And then we can say project closure documentation is sort of being delivered as a main output for this stage, if you sort of get what I'm talking about. Now, this is where we now, having talked about all those things we talked about, we are able to now define what information system project management is. Okay, if you have questions, just drop it in chat. I will look to attend and you'll not be alone. Remember also this recording will be made available, okay? And I'll give you instructions at the end on how to access it. It's free. Don't think it's going to be coming at a cost. It's free. I want everyone to access it. If you've been in our WhatsApp group, it will be available there. All those groups we created will sort of make it available there and also point you to other aspects to sort of get it. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You may also be able to pick it there, but I'll talk about in detail other options for accessing it. So, but what we're saying is when it comes to project management for information system, we're saying is the application of methods, in other words, methodologies, tools, techniques, and competencies. By competency, we're talking about a range of skills and competencies, expertise to sort of enable the delivery of projects and achievements of project objectives. So it will also involve the planning, delegating, monitoring, and control of all aspects of the project, right? And the motivation of those involved to achieve project objectives within the expected performance targets for time, cost, and then we have quality. You see, these three make up your triple constraint, project management, triple constraints, or project management iron triangle. Some of you may be familiar with this. So your time is the duration, the start to finish time, where you expect your project to be delivered. Your cost is the spend available to you. And your quality is the measure of the standard, quality standard that you want your project delivered to, that kind of thing. And then Prince 2, which is project in a controlled environment, is a methodology common to us in the UK. It's a global methodology, by the way, but also particularly common to us in the UK and is used by public sector organizations, and also the wider part of Europe also use this method. Has introduced a number of other performance objectives to include, we have benefits, which is your improvements in values of outcome that you sort of have arising from a project. And we have risks, the uncertainty we talked about. You want to manage those. You want to keep them to a minimum. We also have scope. Your scope is what you're delivering. It's what's in, what's out, what your project is delivering, the set of deliverables you're catering for as part of your delivery. But importantly, Prince 2 has been upgraded from Prince 2 6th edition to Prince 2 7. So they've included another performance objective that's called sustainability. When you think about sustainability, the first thing that comes to mind is environment, isn't it? Measuring the balance of anything we sort of produce into the environment without jeopardizing or threatening and impacting people and the wider human and people ecosystem, ensuring that balance across people, life, and just the general creation. Okay, if you sort of understand what I'm saying. So the key thing is you want to ensure a balance there. Okay, but you see, when it comes to IT, it's not just about the environment as such. It's also about the whole life cost of products. You want to deliver sustainably. You want to ensure operational resilience. Make sure you keep your organization in business so that you stand up robust systems that enable resilience for your organization, sustainability. So you have targets for that. For example, the delivery of solar panels is a sustainability type requirement where you want to sort of just have renewable options and alternatives for provisioning your power requirements. and energy requirement. And that's it. So that when we look at it properly, we are saying project management for information systems is basically the application of methods, tools, techniques, competencies to enable the project to meet its objective. It involves the planning, delegating, monitoring, and control of all aspects of the project, and the motivation of those involved to achieve the performance objectives within the expected performance targets for time, cost, quality, benefit, risk, scope, and sustainability. So very quickly, I'm going to go into something around IS project delivery. Okay, information systems project delivery. What will be the key requirements? What are your main considerations for achieving this? So hope it's making sense to you. Just someone respond to me. Hope it's making sense. I know there have been a lot of comments. Thank you for dropping the YouTube channel. Please go subscribe. Please go subscribe. And then go watch the project lifecycle video. Very, very important. You'll find it as a useful resource. And we're going to be dropping a lot more resources. So I will encourage that you also hit your notification button, particularly if you're subscribing to us, and you'll be getting a range of information. But hope it is making sense, please. Are you all getting it? I want to see some messages there. It's a good audience today, and I'm glad that you all sort of honored us today. Thank you. I can see the link to our YouTube channel being dropped. So go subscribe. That's your way of supporting us. That's your way of saying you appreciate what we do. And we look to do a lot more stuff to sort of just provision stuff to the community and help people appreciate what tech is about. And I'll tell you about some of the upcoming events as well. So just look out for that. So IS project delivery, some of the key considerations, essential considerations. You want to understand what a deliverable is, right? So a deliverable, when it comes to the delivery of IT systems, IT technology, IT solutions, a deliverable is something produced as a result of project activity or process, okay? And there are different types of deliverables, and I'm going to talk about this just now. But before we do that, let's address the scope as well, so that you see your scope then addresses what your project is doing and its deliverables. It answers the question, what's in other words, what are we doing? And what's out? What are we not doing? So that, for example, if it's a CRM system, it's not an HR system. So what you're delivering is a CRM, customer relationship management system. It is not an ERP or enterprise resource planning system. It's a customer relationship management system. So as part of your scope definition, you want to be clear around exactly what you're doing. Okay, and that's what the scope is about. And you understand this a bit more when you take fuller courses around project management. But there are different types of deliverables. Is going to be everything around your management products, usually catering for documentations to govern your delivery. And it's your plans, it's your reports, it's your minutes, it's a range of documentation around business cases, project initiation document. When we say this is your PID, project initiation document. Page 2 says documentation. Statement of works, business requirement document is your statement of requirement, is your risk management approach, quality management approach, issue management approach. You want to cater for a range of documentations to govern and instruct how things will be done. So your PID will be made up of a range of this documentation and aspects, including role descriptions and responsibilities for the various people that work on your project. And then you have design documentation as well. Okay, that will sort of cater for the architecture for your IT systems, etc., etc. But all these documents are created and provisioned in a governed fashion. You don't just do it random. Things must be signed off. When you have deliverables, they must be approved. They must be signed off. Don't just say, oh, I created the business case. And you're like, yeah, I did it. It's ready. No. Who signed it off? It must be approved. And then the products, the end product for the project is the final piece you're delivering. So that, like I said, I gave an example of a CRM. It could be a regulatory compliance system whatsoever. And it could be a range of systems or products you're delivering, where it's your hardware, it could be software, it could be an application, it could be contracts, it could be process improvement within that IT information technology environment. Okay. So that's that one. And then we sort of now look at this one, which is very important. You see, what I want to talk about now is essential for information systems project delivery. You see, your SDLC is called software or system development lifecycle. It is also called application development lifecycle, okay? It is the process for creating, testing, and developing information systems or applications. It is typically made up of 5 stages. You may, if when you read elsewhere, you may see 6, but there's a reason why they do 6. Some of them may even do 7, okay? But to summarize and keep it really simple, I've just consolidated and created a viewpoint that reflects 5 stages. One is analysis, this one here, okay? Then you have your design. Then you have your developer build. Then you will test and you will deploy. 5 main stages. In analysis, you want to understand the requirements for your system. They are usually functional requirements, non-functional requirements. An ATM, for example, automated teller machine, would dispense cash on demand, okay? But the non-functional requirements, as an example, is that it must be secure. It caters for how it operates. The performance attributes, it must be secure, it must be usable. That's an example. Now, once you understand your requirements for a particular system, you're going to translate that into some sort of design. It's like, think of it this way. When you want to build a house, as a client, you know the kind of house you want to build. But what you're going to do is get an architect to document that for you, design it for you. And you can have first a sketch, and then you have more elaborate documentation and design representation for that particular house. It's the same thing with IT systems. We start with some requirement first. It may first look at high-level summary viewpoint of those requirements translated to design, but at a point, you now also detail it to help us understand how things fit together. If I have a CRM system, does it just sit alone within our network, or does it talk to other systems? Integrate with other systems. So what you do with design is really detail out how that system will sit within the organization and what component aspects will be required for that system. Think of a system as a body made up of different components interacting together to achieve a purpose or a goal. So your CRM is made up of different components. It will have hardware, it will have software, and it will have network layers to allow it connect to the organization systems, and it will also maybe via the mechanism of other tools and programming interfaces, it will integrate with other systems as well. Okay, so just understand there's analysis and then there's design. We want to design. Once the design is approved, you then want to start developing or building. Okay, you will build, there'll be a process. All of this will be represented in the plan. Once the build is completed, development will be led by developers. There will be different levels of engineers or experts, technical practitioners who have expertise in the domain for that particular system, and they can provide the build requirements and make sure they build that particular system for you. And then once it's done, there'll be some testing. There are different kinds of testing, but the more important one, keeping it simple, is that users can accept that particular system, and that's UAT, okay? And then you deploy. Once it's signed off with UAT acceptance, you go live and deploy it to the operational environment. In other words, you deploy it, go live, and hand it over to BAU for maintenance. And that's why they will maintain, they will operate it, they will look after that system, and there will be a support model that governs how that system will be supported in case there are incidents or problems. Okay, they'll keep the lights on. And that's where your sustainability comes in, making sure systems are robust, making sure they are resilient. You want to keep the lights on every time, okay? And that's what that is about. Okay, so that's your SDLC, the process for creating, testing, and developing information systems or applications. It is made up typically of 5 stages. It's your analysis, it's your design, it's your developer build, it's your test, and it's your deploy and maintain. So here I want to look at project methodologies and frameworks. We've said that project management is the use of methods, techniques, tools, competencies, etc. for achieving project objectives. So what we want to look at here is really try to drill into some methodologies, the key ones that we have for project delivery. So a methodology is a set of techniques or principles applied for delivering projects, okay? And then light touch applications of those methodologies in the form of processes or procedures and tools founded on the principles governing methodologies would then be called framework. So that an example, some of you know, Agile project management is a methodology, but a light touch application is Scrum. Okay, that's an example. Just note that. So we're going to look at the main ones. So we're going to talk about the linear sequential, which is waterfall. This one methodology basically is just one where each delivery steps to create the product occurs in sequence. You complete a stage, just like we had your SDLC, you analyze to gather requirements, then you design, then you develop, build, or implement, then you verify or test, and then you can deploy and maintain. So each stage occurs in sequence, and the system or service is only made available just near the end of the project or at the very end of the project. Okay, and then there is the what I would call iterative, incremental, or agile. Each of the delivery steps to create the product occurs in sequence. That's not totally correct. It occurs in iteration. And that's my own error, because basically what I've done there is copied and pasted and not updated. Okay, so let me just so it occurs in iterations. Okay, let me just do that very quickly. Occurs in iterations and increments. Okay, I'll just some increments. I'll just summarize it that way. So let's say iterations here. And just flow with me. Of course, so basically with what we're talking about as relates to Agile, that is not acceptable. Oh dear. But excuse me, that shows you I'm human after all. And there's always human error. But we got there in the end. I corrected it and spotted it. But you see, this is it. As a project management professional, you need to be able to manage the situations as they arise. So you're going to have instances, you have done all this work of preparing a presentation for a people. You thought you reviewed it well and you're happy. And then you suddenly spot an error on the fly, correct it and apologize. You're human after all. And this is what helps you appreciate. You know, some other people will not even apologize with that. To just try to maybe work around that same context. No. It's not what it is. Agile is an iterative, incremental methodology that allows us to deliver products and services and systems via iterations. There are different applications of Agile. You have your Scrum, which is the more popular one, and you have your DSDM, dynamic system delivery methodology. You have your extreme programming. Those are light touch application of Agile, right? But the key thing is, what you want to do is to always deliver a product increment as part of short iterations, small chunks, manageable chunks. That's what you're meant to be doing as part of Agile. So you have all these requirements that you have captured upfront, and then what you want to do is slice them and prioritize them based on what is essential for keeping the lights on and operating the business very quickly. You want to focus on early delivery of a software or a working solution. You want to foster collaboration. You want to deliver benefits early. And those are the kind of things that the principles that govern Agile. You have self-organizing teams, and you want to ensure that those self-organizing teams are also able to take decisions without someone looking over their shoulders, micromanaging. You have to trust them enough to cater for the delivery as required. So you have your development team within Agile to champion the effective release of all these increments across iterations. And that's what Agile is about. And then a very important one is the lean project management that focuses pretty much on maximizing value by minimizing or eradicating waste and improving efficiency through continuous improvement and streamlined process. Your Kanban based methods are examples of that. But importantly, it's good to talk about hybrid methodologies that actually marry linear sequential as well as Agile methods, or your iterative incremental methods. So basically what this one does essentially is that elements of your linear sequential, elements of the project or the system will be delivered by linear sequential methods. For example, infrastructure for a service. You know, I've been talking about a CRM system or any of those systems we identified upfront. When you deliver systems, they always sit on infrastructure. A lot of the infrastructure aspects can be done waterfall, okay? But the software aspect that sits on that infrastructure can be done using iterative incremental methodology. For example, for event booking or ticketing portals that will sit on an infrastructure, that kind of thing. So that's just a simple way of summarizing methodology without confusing anybody, okay? Those are the common ones that we have. Project management skills, and competencies. One of the things I'm going to do before I say this is that a lot of times when it comes to project delivery and methods, project delivery and methodology and management and all that stuff, a lot of times you think it's about technical expertise and competence. It's not so much that. It's about the understanding of the processes, the principles that governs project delivery, and really owning in on those to sort of become an expert, applying those principles, becoming a master around those, okay? So that when we look at the various skills that you need as a project manager, some of those we've already touched on. You want to have technical skills, but by technical skills, we're talking about actual project management skills relating to projects. And you see, it's not just those technical, it's a mix of technical and soft skills, or what we call your hard and soft skills, okay? So that it's everything around project setup, scoping, planning and scheduling, project governance. I've talked about a lot of this as part of this process. And risk and issue management, you want to talk about change management and control. And you want to talk about project documentation, development and control. Project reporting, project finance management, stakeholder engagement, meeting facilitation, application of methodologies. And one of the essential ones is the use of tools. You need to have skills in the use of tools, competencies in the use of a range of tools, which we'll talk about shortly. And then importantly also is your soft skills, everything around leadership, collaboration, technical, team working and building, your communication, conflict management, or resolution. I always like to say when we say conflict management, it's not so much about people fighting physically or something like that. It's just people disagree on a subject or a matter. Your job will be to resolve it by making sure you provide clarity. And sometimes it may be heated conflicts, but yours is to use your diplomacy and your tact to sort of manage the various parties, call them aside, and make sure you can just ensure that balance and manage people effectively. So it's adaptability, the ability to learn, and active listening, diplomacy. I've talked about that, motivation, very, very important, problem solving, attention to detail, okay? And see, sometimes, please put your hands up. Don't want to always look good. Okay, put your hands up. Own it when you've done an error. Don't try to no blame cultures. Okay, that is part of project management expertise that suggests you are owning it, you're handling it correctly. When you've done an error, admit it and fix it quickly, proactively. Not everything is sackable. And I think this is the error that people communicate around. Oh, you did something wrong and then they just kick you out. That's not true. We are human after all, and we make mistakes. But the ability to correct them and just really pay attention to detail enough to effect changes is also good. Okay, influencing, being able to influence your stakeholders, being able to keep them informed and involved is very important. And then emotional intelligence, very, very important. Okay. And yeah, emotional intelligence is the last one on the list, but really important because you need to be self-aware, be environment aware. In fact, at a point when you start working, sometimes you start to understand that when people cough, there's a reason. And you need to sort of pay attention to the dynamics of your environment and balance that. Know who has the power, be emotionally intelligent enough to understand the energies and vibes in the meeting room and manage that. It's a skill that it should take experience sometimes to acquire. Okay. So, but really understand that these things are not difficult. Training can help you achieve it. And especially when you have people to mentor you, support you, and hold you, guide you, it just makes you more effective. Project management tools. This is one of these very important areas where you need to know how to use tools, and training will help you understand how to use tools. But now this is what I want to say. The range of tools in project management, the list is endless. But I'm going to focus you on the more important ones, okay? So I would say for IT skills and the tools you need to very quickly learn, Microsoft Office tools, your Word, your Excel, your PowerPoint, your Outlook for email and calendar management, diary management, meeting bookings, okay? Very important. That's what Outlook is for. And then I would say again, Microsoft for planning. particularly Microsoft project. But there are other planning tools, and a lot of them, depending on the sector in IT you work with, you will never touch. Oracle Primavera, I've been working 15 plus years. I only just touched it last year for the first time in a work environment. It wasn't difficult to learn. It was just down to experience, okay? And then it's called Oracle Primavera P6, okay? And it's a planning and scheduling software. There's PlanView. There are a range of planning, including your spreadsheets. You can use spreadsheets for planning as a tool, okay? And you just sort of, with training, start to understand how to use that. It's Microsoft SharePoint as a collaboration tool, and Microsoft Teams as a collaboration tool, and for also document management. There is Slack, there is Miro as also collaboration tools, some of which I'll just probably include in the any other tools you know. It can be your Miro, it can be Slack, it can be Jira, it can be Confluence, it can be Trello, it can be Asana. See, let me just be honest, the list endless. But the key ones are the top three that I just put there. Just know those and try to achieve a level of competence that is just past basic. Somewhere between basic and intermediate, you'll be okay. And then over years of experience, you start to gain more competency. But you need to, in this journey, apply yourself aggressive. Okay. Yeah. And it's your PPM tools. In other words, portfolio project management tools. There are a range of portfolio project management tools out there. You can research into what they are. And then it's your finance and procurement systems, because you will always buy on projects. Okay. Very important. Now, this is where, for example, we actually come to the end of the actual crash course. But guess what? Stay with us, don't go. The reason is